The city of Istanbul never truly sleeps. Even at midnight, the streets breathe with memories. The Bosphorus shines under the moonlight, ferries cross silently between two continents, and somewhere in the distance, the call to prayer echoes like a voice from another world. For most people, Istanbul was a city. For Leyla, it was a wound that never healed. Every morning, she opened her small flower shop near the narrow streets of Balat. Tourists passed by, smiling. Couples walked hand in hand, and old men sat outside tea houses discussing football and politics. But Leyla always looked toward the sea, waiting. 5 years earlier, her fiancé, Kerem, had disappeared on a stormy night without saying goodbye. No letter, no explanation, nothing. Only silence. And silence can hurt more than betrayal. People told her to move on. Her mother said, "A woman cannot spend her life waiting for a ghost." But Leyla's heart refused to listen, because deep inside, she believed Kerem had loved her, truly loved her. And real love does not vanish without reason. Every evening after closing the flower shop, Leyla walked to the Galata Bridge carrying a small white flower. It was their place, the place where Kerem had once promised, "No matter what happens, Istanbul will always bring me back to you." At first, she waited with hope, then with pain, then simply out of habit. Years passed. One cold winter night, rain poured heavily over the city. The streets glistened under yellow streetlights, and the wind coming from the Bosphorus felt like ice. Leyla stood under the bridge holding her umbrella when suddenly she saw someone familiar across the street. A man in a dark coat, tall, silent, watching her. Her heart stopped. Kerem. The umbrella slipped from her hand. For a moment, the world disappeared. The traffic sounds faded. The rain no longer mattered. Only him. She slowly walked toward him, tears already filling her eyes. But when she finally stood in front of him, she realized something was wrong. Kerem looked older, broken. His eyes carried pain she had never seen before, and worst of all, he looked guilty. Leyla's voice trembled. "Why?" One word, but inside that single word lived 5 years of heartbreak. Kerem could barely look at her. Finally, he whispered, "I left to save your life." Leyla stared at him in confusion. Kerem explained that years ago, he had become involved with dangerous men while trying to pay off his father's debts. When things turned violent, he discovered that the people after him planned to hurt anyone he loved. Especially Leyla. So he disappeared. Not because he stopped loving her, but because he loved her too much. Leyla wanted to hate him, she truly did. But hatred becomes impossible when the person standing before you still owns your heart. The rain continued falling around them as tears rolled down her face. "Do you know what these 5 years did to me?" she whispered. Kerem closed his eyes. "Every day without you punished me enough." For the first time in years, Leyla saw the truth behind his silence. He had not escaped pain, he had lived inside it. Days passed after their reunion. Istanbul suddenly felt alive again. They drank tea beside the Bosphorus, walked through the Grand Bazaar, watched seagulls flying above the ferries. But happiness in Istanbul never comes without a test. One evening, Leyla discovered that the dangerous men from Kerem's past had found him again. The nightmare had returned. Kerem decided to leave Istanbul forever to protect her once more. But this time, Leyla refused. At the train station, as snow began falling softly over the city, she grabbed his hand tightly. "I already lost you once. I will not survive losing you again." Kerem looked at her with tears in his eyes. All his life, he believed protecting someone meant leaving them behind. But Leyla taught him something different. Sometimes love means staying, even when the world is falling apart. Months later, spring arrived in Istanbul. The flower shop became brighter than ever, and every evening Leyla and Kerem walked together along the Bosphorus as the city lights reflected on the water. People who saw them thought they were just another couple in love. But Istanbul knew better, because the city had witnessed their pain, their silence, their separation. Finally, their return to each other. Some cities create stories, but Istanbul heals them.